Okay. Can you stop coughing?
Hello and welcome back once again to All Things Real Time, where I'm joined only by Lorembo this week. No Swedes, no Zerg players or Infernal players. How are you, Lorembo? How's it going?
As always, terribly.
Fantastic. I have some mixed news this week. If you remember, in episode 1, my dad predicted the collapse of the US dollar. And I have to say, it hasn't happened. But what did happen is last week, the United Kingdom is now officially in a recession. So while he wasn't right about the currency, he wasn't wrong.
What are you talking about? It's like you just randomly predicted something, and then something else happened, and you're like, well, something bad happened, and he did predict something bad, therefore it was kinda right. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how it
Anyway, I'm your main host, better than the other one who's ugly. I'm Lorimbo, and today we are gonna talk about the qualifiers, the playoffs for ECG,
works.
the results of Katowice, and we are gonna have a special surprise apparition, which we are not gonna spoiler, talking about some other interesting events you might be interested in.
Yeah, it's a tournament episode. We're only talking tournaments. There's been a bunch. So a few weeks ago we did the Katowice episode. Then we did the EGC episode with Boss. I think we complained quite a lot in that episode, mostly about like how the tournament was running and that sort of thing. But I think once they got to the playoffs and the stream, I will say the production quality was really good and the casting was also great. I thought it was actually a really well ran tournament.
They really, well, now,
No, okay, after that bit, after.
now, let's not go too far. But I will admit they really stepped up their quality. They've tried their hardest for their playoffs. They didn't have any other problems that were even comparable to what we had with the qualifiers. So I cannot blame them too much, and I definitely have to give them credit where credit is due. They definitely stepped up, and that was good. I agree with that. So.
Stream quality. That's what I meant. Stream quality.
Oh, let's see. We have here the results of the playoffs. For people who have missed it, I will also shout out the most interesting matches that struck me as particularly interesting. So, let's start from top to bottom, left to right, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Round of 16, we started off with Parting versus Krolo. Now, one thing to notice that is somewhat interesting about this match is that Krolo had actually qualified by playing Infernal due to perceived imbalance, and he switched back to Vanguard for this tournament. Unfortunately, switching back, I don't know if due to lack of preparation or something, was not enough to upset the clear favorite for this tournament, which was Parting. Well, except the fact for me, of course. And this is so this was a pretty one-sided match. Not super interesting, but Krolo did have a couple interesting ideas that did not come to fruition. Second match, we have Pro versus Nogstar. Snogstar, really interesting player. Absolutely a beast nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
I think for this tournament, it was a bit underwhelming compared to the level of play that I see now in ladder. Maybe nerves, maybe lack of preparation, maybe just the fact that Pro played really, really well. But
I think Snogstar might be the only person on the list who only got in through the free week through
Snogstar is actually insane. Like, he's so good at this game.
For someone
like,
who's only been playing for like the for Steam Next Fest, that's pretty good going. Has to be said. Fair play.
Yeah, at the moment, Snogstar is literally like number 3 or number 4 on the ladder. He has insanely high MMR, insanely high RPs. He's a god that is the only OP against Vanguard, whatever. Then we had Night Phoenix Hydra. Now here I had prepared a bit of predictions about this match because I know both players pretty well personally. Night Phoenix on paper was the clear favorite and did end up going to him. But I will say that the matches against Night Phoenix were pretty interesting, and I suggest anyone who's interested in pretty high level Infernal versus Infernal to give them a chance, because those are pretty interesting strategies, and I think definitely worth a watch. Then we had Kivan versus Kel, which was a slightly underwhelming. Actually, surprised me that Kel took one map. I expected this to be a 2-0. No shame to Kel. He's a really good player. But Kivan, at least on paper, was one of the top players of the tournament, right? He had qualified through ladder, which was the hardest way to qualify. And so it was interesting to see, let's put it this way. Cool games. At least the one that Kel won was pretty interesting. I would even say it was a comeback. Pretty cool. I won't recommend watching them until you're really interested, but they are like at least above average.
It's quite
Then we had
interesting.
Eric.
We see that
Yeah,
kind of 2-1 twice now in this, where it's like Kirian and Probe are definitely really favoured over Snockstar and Kel, but to see them take a map at least is really good going.
I wasn't sure about Pro versus Noxstar actually, because Noxstar like was monstrous. So
It's a bit deceptive because Probe actually hadn't played that much on ladder, and Snockstar obviously
yeah,
was grinding hard. So I think kind of we weren't quite sure like which level both players were actually at that point.
yeah, absolutely. Now we go to the upset bracket.
Oh yeah.
Eric versus Clem. What the fuck happened here? So Art, you
Yeah.
are the expert in VAV. You explain how this happened.
Magard Zimba, man. What can I say? Yeah, Clem obviously came through the Katowice qualifier. I think he hadn't played that much, so people were quite kind of surprised to see him do so well. And Eric is obviously like top 10 on the ladder pretty easily most of the time. Yeah, I don't know. Ran into too
Eric,
many
what
Vulcans.
did you do? Okay, no, I do have a take because I've watched the games. I think Eric, I don't know why. Like, I think if Eric just played it safe, went into a standard mid game, he would have crushed Clem because Clem clearly showed in the Katowice qualifiers the lack of experience. But for some reason, he decided to play very aggressive with mass dog strategies, trying to put Clem out of the group quickly. But backfired spectacularly because Clem actually held with his first into Lancer, I think. And I don't know, this was the most unexpected one. I think
Yeah,
out of every result, this was the only one I didn't correctly predict for the round of 16.
yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, the other
So,
three matches are relatively kind of relatively obvious. Sorry to
well,
Bossa, but Boss is good, but obviously Vortex is just another level at the moment.
yeah, Vortex boss was gonna be really hard. Now, to his credit, I did think at the time that Vortex was a better match than someone like Lucifron, and I still stand by it. I think it's slightly easier to win an upset in Infernal versus Infernal. But unfortunately, Boss had some plan. He prepared a lot with me. I also prepared with Parting. But it didn't quite pay off. Some of the builds didn't go as expected. Vortex just showed overall really clean play with drop play and mid-game timings, etc., etc., etc. So it was pretty convincing result from Vortex. Boss was disappointed, but he did admit that the games did not go his way, so there was no hard feeling there. It was pretty interesting. Now, Eliezer versus Exo Striker, I did not watch, I will admit, but the result does not surprise me. Eliezer has been a monstrous opponent, very, very strong player, and Exo Striker, I haven't seen him much on ladder, and to be honest, his account on the ranking page has a somewhat low MMR. Now, that of course can be deceiving if you haven't played much, but it seemed to indicate that he was not quite at the same level as Eliezer, and the results seem to confirm that. And Lucifer versus Kelazur was another thing. Well, Kelazur really, as far as I know, I have inside information. My man Diego only started playing the game like 3 days before the Katowice qualifier. Props on him for qualifying, but Lucifron, best Vanguard player in the world, maybe. Even though he's not the one that did the best at this tournament. Spoiler
But
alert.
let's stay for the next round, where Lucifron got 3-2'd by a laser, and this upset at least you a little bit because at the end of last episode you said that Lucifron and Parting are in the finals, where Lucifron finally wins the whole thing. That was your prediction.
Yeah.
Those are your words. It's a quote.
I genuinely think this could have still happened.
I
Okay,
mean, 3-2 to a
okay,
laser is
bro, did you watch the
is
games?
close. Yeah, and they
In
were
my
close.
opinion, this series 3-2 was the best series of the entire tournament. If you have to watch one series of this tournament, watch Laser versus Lucifron. It was insane. Laser showed absolutely inhuman macro performance. Army controlling an infernal army is deceptively hard because the units are not super easy to control, and there are a lot of them that do different things. And Elaser was just all on top of everything. Lucifron kind of disappointed me. Did not adapt to the Lancer meta. Maybe was not in the known. He was not aware. He stuck to his dog slash heavy Hornet usage, which
Yep.
is still good,
Yeah,
but is
definitely.
not the absolutely best in slot.
Yep.
And it was insanely close up to the very last because Elisa started off with a strong 2-0, and then Lucifron went
Yeah.
on to 2-2 and looked like he
Yeah,
was
it
about
nearly
to
was the
win game
reverse
3.
sweep. Yeah.
Very impressive performance by both players.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely banger of a series. Going up, we have Clem versus Vortex. Well, no real surprises here. Vortex took Clem really seriously, did not take any risk, played very safe every single game because he knew that once you get into those mid games, into those late games, the lack of experience from Clem, Clem on paper, of course, are absolutely an absolute monster, mechanically speaking, but just didn't play the game enough. So the lack of experience really showed, and Vorting got a clean trio, no surprises there. Now, Kivian versus Night Phoenix was interesting. I don't know if you watched it, Art. Have you watched it?
You know, I saw all of these, and then we didn't talk about it for 2 weeks. So wasn't didn't Night Phoenix win basically Jagged more? And
Yes.
because Kyrian kept doing his like one base lancer into proxy turrets, and then basically
Yeah,
Night
yeah,
Phoenix was
yeah.
like, okay, I'll just one base versus one base,
So
I guess.
yeah, so Kivian here went for this. In my opinion, Kivian here showed really the power of meta innovation. By far, the best prepared player in this tournament, I think, is the guy that like really showed that he prepared and he had secret builds hidden. So
So
one base lancer is the big surprise of this tournament, showing absolutely dominating performance in the hands of Kivian. And in this matchup, it was mixed up with turret
a
rushes.
proxy turret, but okay, my theory on this one is that he didn't actually love these builds, and he was trying to basically scam a way to win on Jagged Maw, which we saw was really difficult for Vanguard players, while also not showing too much because he knew he'd have to play Parting if he won. Do you think he was like hiding builds? Because he never played this against Parting, and if he thought it was really good, he would play it there too, no?
I do
Or if he
not
thought it was
think.
really good, he would hide the build for this series and then only play it against Parting.
Yeah, I do not think that the. I do not think that the actual tower rushing was good,
Yeah,
or rather, I think it's a tournament build that might work once or twice. But clearly, Kivian was not a believer in Parting, assuming he probably assumed that Parting was gonna obviously watch his matches, and that's the kind of deal that if your opponent expects it, is basically give them away a free win.
yeah.
And he had other cards hidden for Parting, so
Hmm.
that's interesting. But before we go there, let's talk about, in my opinion, one of the biggest disappointments in this tournament, which was Parting Probe. Now, this is at the same time very exciting and a bit disappointing in the sense that Parting here unveiled his strongest build yet,
Yep.
the now so-called build, which I will publish a guide on very soon, even though I do not think it's good, for reasons that will be explained in the guide itself, probably. The build basically goes with a double conclave into a very fast drop into a strong push with flame imps.
Yep.
Parting did this every single game against Probe. And Probe, maybe because he was too stuck once again on the Hornet meta, did not prepare anything other than Hornets. I'm not sure what happened there. Probe is gonna hate me, things like that. I love you, Probe. I'm just saying. It did not perform as I expected. I expected this to be a banger match, but it was couldn't adapt in time. The Parting build took him by surprise. And by game 3, he did kind of figure out a bit of defense, but it was too little too late. And even though he survived the actual attack, he was so behind. The Parting just went for a follow-up all-in, and he just killed him anyway. So
Okay. Counterpoint. This was kind of hidden tech that I don't think anyone that's in parting play much around with really, and most people are not playing really fast flame imps, they're playing fast, like Magmadons, if anything, right?
yes.
So this was kind of new. Then when you're like in the moment and trying to adapt mid-series, I think for me, if he's thinking like, okay, well, I know the drop is coming, and I don't believe in anything apart from the Hornets to hold the drop, it's possible that he thinks that's the only way that's kind of worth playing. If he
I
hasn't
mean,
had a lot of experience with the kind of Lancer styles that we saw Kyrian play.
that's absolutely true. That's true. Like, I understand that. I'm not saying Prob is a bad player because he couldn't adapt.
No, yeah.
It's just that this series was disappointing because
No, I
one
agree
of the two
completely.
players came up with a build swinging, and the other one had no clue it was coming and couldn't figure it out quickly enough, and that simply ended every game really quickly.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It's
that's
like you're like excited for a tournament, and it's like Sarrel versus Mario might finally happen, and then like one of them goes out in the round of 16. And you're like, okay, great. Well, that's not going to happen. We're not going to get to see
yeah,
it.
exactly.
It's just
Like or
disappointing.
even,
Yeah.
yeah, like it's disappointing. Like, it's not what you want to see, of course. I would like to see it a bit more and forth. Now, going on to the semifinals, this is where the games actually got insanely interesting.
Mhm.
Second best series of the entire game, of the entire tournament, in my opinion. Parting Kiwan, absolute banger of a series. Kiwan showing off the power of one base Lancer and two base Lancer. I think he played one base Lancer in 5 out of 6 games. And I will say the thing, in another universe, this could have gone completely the other way. Why? Because we look at the score 4-2, and this looks pretty dominating. But I will argue that first off, Kiwan threw one game on
Broken Crown.
Broken Crown. I think there was a game, the one that the parting one with that drop, just killing every building. I think that one Kivan could have won at least 2 times, but got stuck by the whole position slash just general jankiness of the units getting stuck.
Yep.
I think that was a win on paper.
Well,
And
we should talk about that one because that was really cool in that so many people thought that he had won it. So many people were like fully convinced and were like, all the casters, all the obs and everything were like, oh, Parting left the game. Oh, Kyrian won, not realizing
I
that Kyrian had been eliminated by the drop, which was
I
kind of
did
crazy.
not I did not want to talk about it because I wanted to be positive. To my opinion,
There's
that is
nothing
not
wrong with
cool.
that. I'll tell you
Yeah,
what it is. The
no,
only
you have casters. You have casters on servers, and no one points it. What?
Do you know the reason why? This is the only reason. The one feature they need to add is in StarCraft when a building or unit is being attacked on the minimap, it flashes like white, like red and white. It'll flash. In this game, that doesn't happen yet, and that's meaning that people are missing these things. That's
That's
literally it.
true in game, but it's okay.
That's it. Because if it was flashing in the minimap, there's no way the obs wouldn't be like, "Oh, what's happening in his base?"
This
But
game is so confusing. Anyway,
yeah, it was a really good
uh,
series.
and Parting got 2 free wins on Jagged Maw, where the build does not work because you get a blind tower to get the siege camp anyway, right? So
Yeah, but the tech on that map was really cool. So he was, and I didn't know you could do this. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just not that creative. There were two things that people didn't really realize you could do. On Jagged Maw, there's obviously the catapults in the middle of the map, and Kirian was rushing straight to them, which was weird because normally that's the kind of like infernal play.
yeah,
Obviously there are some people that are like obviously with Vanguard that are kind of making these builds to rush those camps. So Kirian is doing his really fast lances like he always does, rushes straight to the middle. Then it's weird because in one of the games he pulls bobs because it turns out you can repair the catapult, which I didn't know you could do. I mean, I guess it makes sense,
I
but
knew that.
yeah, I didn't know you could do that. The one that I didn't know you could do is, or that only just got added recently, I guess, is when you get the command post upgrade to tier 2 and you unlock the shield ability, you can now put the
You can
shield on the
shield the
catapult.
catapult.
I don't think anyone knew you could do that. And then he just
I
shows
knew
up with
that.
like an invincible catapult. It
I
was
no, that's
awesome.
not true. You're just bad at the game. I
I just
had
don't play
this
Jagged
done
Maw. What do you
against me.
mean? I'm not playing that map.
I had this done against me. I knew it
Okay.
was a thing. I did not realize it was quite that useful. But unfortunately, at this point on Jagmo, the extra towers buys a lot of time. You see it coming way better. You're not as exposed on the map as Parting. because you don't have to go for those speed camps, but you instead
Mhm.
go for the siege camp where you have a tower, so it can't exactly dive you for free with as the other builds.
Mhm.
And I think you should have adapted better, maybe going for some kind of 2-base lancer pressure instead. But then again, on Juggling mode, those like Parting was rushing the camp, and I feel like it would have been a disaster anyway. Juggling mode is just an imba map, so that was a bit unfortunate.
Yeah,
But
I just thought it was a cool way to try and scam a win on a map that he would never like really have a chance on otherwise.
yeah,
And it was nice
I
to see
agree.
like some kind of some difference. And that's why I think he was hiding builds when he played against Night Phoenix on the same map. But it's
Yeah,
definitely a rough one. And just because of the structure of the tournament, obviously there's only a few maps in the pool, so like you have to cycle through them and you end up playing the same map more than once. So
yeah,
yeah, it gets a bit rough trying to come up with
yeah.
like strategies that you actually believe in for every map
I mean,
multiple times.
semifinals, the other semifinal, we have Vortex versus Elaser. Now, at this point, I watched this match. Still very good macro play from Elaser, but it was evident to me that Vortex had prepared very well for this tournament.
Mm.
The builds were clean, the execution was clean, the plans were clear for each map. You had a clear execute path, and once you got into that mid game, late game, very often with Vortex ahead, he will just smash through Elaser's defenses and win the game pretty consistently.
Yeah.
So this one was pretty good to watch, but it wasn't exactly what I would call close matchup. Once again, the lack of experience from one of the two players. I think Elaser played a lot at the start and then gave it a rest because probably had other stuff to do. He's a pro player. Miko has a lot of stuff to do. Maybe went running or something. I don't know. But did not adapt to the new meta super well, so was a bit caught off guard in my opinion, and Vorti just showed the preparation. And then we get to the grand finals. What to say about this? Now, prefacing that I did not watch every game, I did not watch the last two, I think, or last one, because it's a best of 9, and I can't be fucking bothered to watch a
Best of
best
9
of 9.
with the same maps played multiple times. So it's not even like
Yeah,
I wonder what he's gonna play on this map. It's like oh, he's gonna play what he
the same
played
thing
the
he
last
played the
two
other two
times.
times.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And it also as well is both the two maps, the two matches you said to watch have been Elaser Luciferon and Kyrian Parting. So clearly the non-mirror is more interesting than the mirror.
I mean, isn't that always the case?
I don't know. I think there's some like I don't know Rainer Serral matches quite often, especially a few years ago in like the finals of Katowice. Those are good
Yeah, but
matches. They're plenty interesting.
but I feel like those were matches carried a lot by the hype surrounding the players, and also Zivit is probably the best mirror in every RTS
Yeah,
actually I've
I
played.
couldn't
No,
disagree with
actually, I
either of
like
those.
English versus English is pretty cool in Age of Empires 4. Not counting Age of Empires 4, which is a bit different because mirrors are not as big of a deal there. I would say that in every game, I think Zivit is probably the one that's most exciting to watch. PvP
Okay,
can also be pretty fun, but
Maru versus Oliveira was a good watch.
the last Katowice, you mean, not this one? Yeah, it was a good watch, but it was once again that's more carried about. It's more carried by the stories of the players, you know, like the Cinderella story of Oliveira versus the overwhelming tyranny of Maru in TVT. There was a time in which Maru was thought to be undefeatable in TVT. So I think that was more of the case more than the actual quality of the game, in my opinion.
Okay.
But yeah, anyway, Parting versus Vortex, pretty interesting series. The one interesting thing I will say about that is that Vortex clearly came out more prepared, especially at the start, and got a quick 1 or even 2 lead. I'm not 200% sure. I don't remember, I don't recall exactly, but it did. It looked to me like in the first 2-3 games, like Vortex had the upper end. He seemed faster, more prepared, etc. But then Parting, once he figured out what was going on, the maps were the same, the builds were the same, and just the mechanical prowess of the greatest Stormgate player who ever lived just overwhelms everyone else. I'm really glad to say I can finally say it. I helped Parting prepare. He credited me with his victory, with the genius builds, the big brand is.
So
I love you, Parting.
so
Mwah!
is your build the Proxy 2 Conclave Gaunt Rush?
No, it's not mine, but I did show him to him. It's a Kel
Oh
build.
really? Okay.
Yeah, it's a Kel
All
build,
right, I
but
can believe
I
that.
was
Yeah,
the
okay.
one that taught him that. I said, this
Yeah,
is
so
super
he got a
dumb.
win with that as well, which is cool. And it wasn't like
Yeah.
that's not him like flexing mechanics anymore either. That's
No,
a
no, that's a
cheese.
build order. Yeah, that's a
Dirty
cheese.
cheese.
But it's not mine. It's not mine. It's Kel's. I will say it. But I was the one that showed him to parting and explained to him how it works. Because he was watching me ladder and I was kind of trying out on the ladder and seeing that it really got me a number of wins I should not have gotten otherwise. So, yeah. Pretty
So
interesting.
for this one, we should talk about kind of the biggest controversy is Vortex landing a Doombringer out of the map twice, and
I don't think
that
it's
was
that
kind of
much of
the.
a controversy,
I mean,
actually.
that was like the longest delay there was a few bugs. There was some bugs in the Night Phoenix Hydra games, and those got like a lot of pausing and talking about it, and those were regames.
Yeah.
But the Parting Vortex one said that it was a regame, and then they like went back and double checked, and then they just kept it as a Vortex win.
Well,
So definitely a little bit controversial.
the reasoning behind it was not very clear whether or not that was allowed. That's the problem. It is not forbidden. I checked 3 times because I even checked before. This same bug happened in my qualification match actually. And one of the reasons why I lost. It's a game breaking bug. I was really annoyed at it. It's incredibly frustrating when it happens. The problem is it happens quite often, even not intentional. But the second time I will say it looked quite intentional from Vortex. As far as I understand, it was not clear to Vortex that it wasn't allowed. I'm not even sure myself right now it was allowed or not. But they probably told him to not do it anymore because that was bug abusing. It didn't look good. I don't
I'm
think
willing
there
to
was
believe
anything
it was
wrong. I don't.
intentional. I think it was because the edge of the cliffs where there's like a marker on the ground where an air unit physically is because of like the perspective of the game, right?
Yeah.
So there has to be a little marker that says like this is actually where it is, on the ground, and that marker can be on the very edges of the map, but when you click the button, it will go down the cliff basically. Like the
Yeah.
edges of the cliff are basically not landable. I don't know. I think he'll say an accident, and I think I'm willing to believe it was an accident. I also think that I think the game was pretty much over already. So like
Yeah.
making it like remaking the game, having a regame on a
Yeah.
game that
That would
somebody
have
has
been
like
unfair. I agree.
99% won feels just feels kind of bad.
Yeah, absolutely agree, and that's why I agree with the judges' decisions.
Yeah,
But I also agree with the call to just like be a bit more careful about it because
yeah, for
this
sure.
looks really bad. Well, it didn't matter ultimately in the final result, so I can't parting can't complain too much. Good match. I liked it. A bit too long, in my opinion. Best of 9, really. Come on. No one likes best of 9s. I've never seen someone be like excited for even a best of 7 is a lot very often.
Yeah, it can be long for sure.
But yeah, this was the tournament. Overall, I will say I enjoyed it. I hate Kivian for bringing the terror that is Lancer openings, which now have skyrocketed Vanguard to a 70% win rate in Master. I want to notice that, as I explained it before, I was right all along, as always, when I said that Lancer openings were actually really good, and that Vanguard was actually very overtuned for that reason. And everyone called me crazy because Inferno had a higher win rate. And they told me that I was insane. And now look at who's laughing. Ha, ha, ha. Vanguard players take up. No, jokes aside. I find it really troubling. I want to do a PSA. I know it sounds bad after I just make fun of Vanguard players, but I want to. Now I'm serious. I want to do a PSA. I'm a bit disappointed with the way the community has acted around balance. Not everyone. I've had great discussion with Mix or you, where you guys are usually pretty reasonable. But when I hear stuff like Vanguard now has a 70% win rate, but you had a 70% win rate before, so why do you want it to change? Like, like, do you want the game to be balanced or do you just want to win? I don't know. That's what I understand. Because I didn't like when Infernal had a 68% win rate either. I didn't think it was fun or balance. I admitted 20
Yes.
times. So why is it when the other goes around, it's like more of a revenge thing? Well, I thought that the objective was to get to 50-50. No? Like,
Yeah,
if the objective is to
and
go
what I would say
50-50.
is there are people who have played in the previous balance. I'm not going to name names. People played the previous balance patches and have stopped playing because the balance was so far in one way or the other. And those people had played Infernals in previous tests and then came back and the balance was so Infernal favored, it's just boring and they don't want to play. And that's so it's not like they don't want the balance to favor them. It's not like they are quiet when Infernal wins and then really loud as soon as they start losing. They're just not happy with the state of the balance in general. And a lot of people, switch races according to what they find not stronger but more interesting.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's why I've been playing Vanguard. But I will say, I think these swings are mostly to be expected, and I think this is my prediction now. You did your Lucifron prediction last week, so this is my one that you're going to clip and play back in a couple of weeks. I think there may not be massive balance changes or any balance changes, and I think the balance kind of percentages will kind of correct themselves as people figure out the meta more and more. And I think some of the times Frost Giant have been kind of slow to put patches through because they're really keen for the meta to kind of self-correct in things that have been really overpowered. So stuff like the Hornet, they were quite quick actually to nerf, and the Hornet got like triple nerfed really fast. And those, it's just like it's like obviously overpowered. Yeah, like the 5 Therium Gaunts or whatever. Whereas sometimes they've been very explicit about saying that actually we think that the state is okay and we'd like people to try and like play around with the tools that they're given and try and figure it out as opposed to us stepping in. I think it's a fine line to walk. It's a really difficult line to walk. In this case, I think it's going to be the latter.
I have reasons to believe that they will keep an eye on it, but what I will say is that my point is, even if the win rate were to fix itself, I think the current state of Inferno versus Vanguard feels terrible to play. Regardless of
maybe
that.
a bigger part as well, actually.
First of all, I wanted to tell you that actually the win rate for Vanguard has been higher for the past 10 days in Master than the win rate for with the exception of February 19 February 17 for some reason. I don't know what happened that specific day, but every other way it was pretty decisively. So I think it's, even if it settle down, I'm not so sure I will be as balanced as you can. I hope it will. I'm not necessarily rushing Frost Giant for a patch, because then if it's actually not that OP, then we will do again, like we'll be 70% in final again, like, and I will be an hypocrite. What I am saying is I've been disappointed by the fact that instead of recognizing the problems, okay, these things are problematic about my race, these things are problematic about my race, we can agree that maybe we can make a better game together. There's already this pervasive feeling where the two races are like, you were overpowered, now it's my turn to be overpowered. But it's like, but this is a defeating mentality. I don't want to be overpowered. I don't want the other guy to be overpowered. I want the game to be as balanced as possible, obviously. Because that's the fucking purpose of the game. That's what I like. That's what I enjoy. That's what I like. I don't know. It was just.
I think the irony of it all is people haven't even necessarily chosen like the final faction that they're going to play when the game actually fully releases, right? So there'll be people now that are like trying to not get Vanguard nerfed, and they might not even be playing Vanguard, but like by the end of the playtest, they might switch to the third race whenever that comes out. I think people have really gotten into the tribalism quite early on, which I think is understandable when you consider that these people come from like StarCraft 1 and 2 backgrounds or Age of Empires backgrounds where you kind of main one faction always pretty much.
Yeah, but this is like. This has always been the case to me. Like I don't know. I don't like this tribalism stuff because it becomes really hard to make design complaints without being accused of balance wanting. Every time I say like that, for example, in StarCraft, units like Vipers can be incredibly frustrating and overpowered and overbearing. And then I follow it by saying. I also think that, for example, Mech Terran has big problems. They shouldn't be in the game, etc. People say, "Oh, you're just balance one." But it's like, no, I started with a Zer complaint because I generally think those things are damaging for the game. Just for example, right now in this game, I think the Doombringer is incredibly overpowered and oppressive, and they should be removed, even against Vanguard. But it feels really sad to me when the design discussion gets reduced to a balance discussion.
Yeah, for sure.
And this has also been told personally to me by people at Frost Giant, that they're always very hesitant because it becomes impossible to tell which feedback comes from a place of I don't like the design of this, I think this design is better, I think we could improve upon it, and which comes from I think X race is OP, just nerf it.
Yeah. Yeah, and
This is
I
a big
think
problem.
you
If
can.
you're listening,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, I was gonna say you can look at things like StarCraft right now, where a lot of people are saying that cyclones are too strong. I think the argument is more that like it doesn't matter if they're too strong or too
They just feel
weak. If they're
horrible.
just not fun to play against, then people just don't play the game, and that's basically what we've seen. Is so many people just stop playing because it doesn't feel fun. I
Yeah.
guess the flip side is a lot of people started playing because playing and spamming cyclones can be quite fun. So what can you do?
I mean, I think a lot of people started playing Terran after the guy got Grandmaster with one base Cyclone in a couple of months. But yeah, no, jokes aside, if you're listening to this podcast and you have balance wind, I don't judge you. I balance one all the time. I love balance one. There is nothing I love more than balance winding. But for once in my life, to my Vanguard brothers, I'm extending a olive branch. Let's try to work together to make the game actively better. I don't want to win every game because of imbalance. There's always gonna be balance winning. That's inevitable. You're always gonna feel that every other race is stronger. That's part of the game. I don't have a problem with that. But we need to at least recognize the part of our races or the things that we do that can be extremely frustrating for other races, and we need to work if they are due to balance, if they are due to design, if there is a way of both having the fun interaction without the frustrating part of it. Sometimes those problems are not fixable. Some people will always hating. I will always hate playing against Terran, no matter what. But some things can be fixed, and I think we should focus on those instead of just endlessly yapping at each other. I've seen the discussions. Like I've seen that there is no problem with Lancer. You guys just have a skill issue. Why? Do you think we all there is nothing for us? We are not winning money now. There's literally no. I don't get. To me, if you genuinely think that is a good move for me to make the game actively less balanced, because by arguing that Vanguard has problems right now, just because I think you're delusional. Of course, it is in my best interest for the game to be successful because I'm creating fucking content for it. I stream it. I won't say it's my job because I'm a fucking mathematician, but it's something that I do that I enjoy, that brings me a bit of money, that makes me famous or whatever, and I can become rich and famous the next Elon Musk. But like, why the fuck would I want the game to be bad and fail?
You could be the best player in a dead game. Wouldn't that be amazing?
No, it fucking blows. Otherwise, I will just play Grey Goo and be the best Grey Goo player out of the two
I hate
that
to
there
break it
are.
to you, you might already be the best Grey Goo player in the world. You might.
I've never played the game.
We're going to talk
Anyway,
now about Katowice. Let's change gears a little bit. We talked about it 2 weeks ago, right, with good friend Fianton.
with Fianta, that video did terribly. By the way, go watch
Did
it. You guys are
fine.
terrible.
It did fine.
Terribly. Watch the podcast. Watch the other videos. Like and subscribe.
It did fine, but I will say the thumbnail was banger, and it should have gotten way more clicks just because of that.
Yeah, that's true. Good,
Um,
very good thumbnail.
Thank you. Group A went about as expected. You were kind of sleeping on Gumiho. There was a bit of copium, a bit of ego betting. I don't think
You guys
it's unfair to
you guys
say.
all predict. I just want to say, I think my prediction when I'm more accurate. You guys all predicted Gumio to be the clear like first or second place, and he barely qualified.
Okay, that is fair. I don't think he barely qualified. He needed like Scarlet to beat Hero Marine or Scarlet to beat Gumiho, which obviously didn't end up happening. I do think it's probably most people would have guessed like first or second, and obviously it ended up being Hero Marine first with a really good record in his group 10 and
That
1.
was really surprising, actually.
Yeah, for sure.
Hero Marine. So I would say for my prediction, I really slept on Hero Marine. I way overrated Spirit. Terrible performance by Spirit. I have no fucking clue why I thought it was better than this. So then some people kept arguing with me and told me like the fact that he didn't perform so well recently. So apparently I just had an inflated opinions of Spirit. Polska Gurom always.
Kurwa mać.
No, I mean, no shame to the guy. Probably surely maybe his preparation wasn't good enough, or maybe nerves got him. That can be really, really tricky.
Well, I
Good.
don't think he plays the Cyclone style, and it's never like seemed like the kind of way he would play.
You know that Spirit is the man responsible for the second
Yes,
change,
but I
right?
haven't seen him spam the Cyclone. Is what
Yeah,
I'm
that's the
saying.
worst part.
I think he wanted
did-
it. He wanted to play Cyclones against Protoss, and he ended up not doing that. And then I think the kind of new patch hasn't kind of adapted well to him so much.
That's like he made a patch and it wasn't good for him. Insane.
He's such a legend.
Such a legend. Anyway, Solar did more or less as predicted. I expected him to win against Hero Marine, but
Yeah.
you know, I think there's a really good case that, as I said, I think Gumio and Scarlet dueled it to the last match, which was between them to actually qualify. I think Scarlet did really well. I'm proud of her. I think people were sleeping on her. I thought she was perfectly possible to qualify, and I was right. I think there was a real case to be made either against Hero Marine or against Gumio that she could have qualified. I think she threw game 2 against Hero Marine. Big shout out to watch if you want to watch games from this tournament, so from this group actually. I think I will bring the other to Scarlet Gumio, Scarlet Hero Marine, and I think Trigger. Fuck, I don't remember which one. No, I think Trigger Gumio. I think was also pretty
Trigger
bad.
Gummi was alright because Trigger
Yeah.
was 1-1 in that definitely.
Yeah. Yes. Trigger
Yeah.
Gumio.
Should have been a big
Those
upset.
are the 3 most interesting series in this group. Moving on, group 2, group B. Well, oh my god, really?
We giga slept on Shin. The man is a machine.
No, I gigas left. You guys were pretty accurate.
Okay. I don't have
But
the,
okay, you didn't predict. We all predicted Clem.
I don't have the tier lists loaded, so we can't go back and check. You're lucky.
I mean, we all kind of predicted Clem to be first, which was a very obvious call. Clem underperforming a bit in this tournament, still performed pretty decently. There were high expectations after his dominating performance at Atlanta. But I think Master Colosseum already, as I said, showed that he wasn't as good as before. He was a bit in a slump. Of course, it's a relative slump. He's still an insane player. He can beat my ass 25 times in a row with one hand while blindfolded. There are no doubts about that. But no, jokes aside, Shin really overperforming. I undervalued him. I always call him a one-trick pony because just an Olini guy, kind of a guy. Basically, Shin is a Lorimbo that never stopped believing. I stopped believing too soon. Shin proves that you can literally get to the top of GSL or to the top of his group by doing it. But really solid performance. Cure performed as expected. Bunny and Oliveira, a bit of
Cure
underperformance.
beat Clem, no? I think that might be a little bit of an upset.
I predicted that. I said Cure Clem TVT was going to be unpredictable.
Yeah.
Because I think TVT is always unpredictable and Cure is really good at TVT. People are
Cure
sleeping on him.
Crazy good.
Yeah. Bunny and Oliveira, I thought they had a shot. Bunny not that much. Oliveira, you can never count him out because he's literally the world champion when we made the predictions. Well, he still is actually. Because this was not world championship anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stats, I mean, I love stats, but I did predict he was gonna go 5, and this happened. I mean,
yeah, but
right.
I mean, he did a good job qualifying. And this is a tough group. The kind of people that stats beat out, I think, was like Creator and DRG, and I think if you put them in this group, like realistically, I don't think
they perform
do
better.
much better. Like,
Creator maybe, but yeah, sure.
But yeah, not much. Are there any ones to look out for in this one? I remember Cure Clem being pretty good.
Cure Clem is pretty good. Clem Ragnarok is pretty funny, but that's just me, I think. Maybe people will not enjoy it as much. And I think Stats also played a good game. Against a term, I don't remember which one. I think Stats Clem, maybe? I'm not 100% sure, but it was at least one PVT in which Stats actually showed out some pretty cool builds. And even though it didn't ultimately end up going his way, I think it was pretty good to watch out for. Someone can check. It's one of the two matches that Satsuno I'm watching. So Group C, well, nothing unexpected. Serral goes 10-0. Who could have seen it coming? Oh no! Serral goes 10-0 in this group. Never seen that one before. Yeah, of course. The super obvious prediction tends to be.
The fight for third place was really strong in this group. 3 players
Yeah.
going 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Skillus Estrella was pretty close for Estrella qualifying over Skillus, and obviously ended up going the other way. But I think we predicted Estrella to do better. But
yeah, I predicted Estrella to do better. I was really surprised by how well Firefly played. My man Diego underperformed a bit. I still love you, but I
he's busy
don't know.
playing Stormgate. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, he wasn't that confident of a of a performance. I think it was not that great. I expected my man Max to do better. Astrea, I mean, obviously. But PvP can be a tricky beast, and I'm still really glad for Skillos because I think he's really cool guy. So that's fine by me. Good spotlight, by the way, for this group on Firefly. My man really getting those upsets, really showing off that is way better than I gave him credit for, and definitely like showed off a way stronger performance than I think most people expected. So
yeah, really slept on.
do you have a recommendation for this? I think Firefly, I'm trying to remember, it was Firefly Skillus or Firefly Astrea. One of them was really good. I think Serral Albion was fine, but it's Serral, so you know how it ends. And I think Skillus Astrea, which was the last match, if I remember correctly. Fucking.
To qualify.
That one is really big. Yeah, that was a really banger because it was qualification on the line and both players tried the hardest. There were some really funky builds. Those were pretty fun. Let's move on.
Yeah, Group D.
The group of death.
Group of death, and not the way we thought it would go at all.
Oh my fucking
I'm
God.
pretty sure I called this at least a little bit. I did put Reina lower. I didn't put him up in S tier.
Dark. Yeah, but you thought that Dark was gonna not qualify.
Yeah, but he did in my heart.
Yeah, true.
So this was Maru out first.
This was the craziest group. Not like this. I could never in a million here could have fucking predicted the results of this group. I think okay. So let's go from top to bottom. Maru going for 1 is not that weird.
No,
even though
he didn't look good.
He didn't look good.
We said in the podcast last week or 2 weeks ago. Time flies. That if he's on form, and he looks really good. These games, he didn't look on form at all. I was watching the whole thing. I was like, he's not on form. Like, he's winning, but it's not like clean wins. They're like scrappy. He's not like, he looks like he's just playing like the first few games after a break or something. Like he doesn't look like on fire. He doesn't look clean with these.
Can we mention the funniest thing? Why Maru is 4-1 and not 5-0? Because I don't know how this happens. I think the betting on this was like 5,000 to 1. Cyan won against Mauro. I think it was 2-1 or 2-0. I don't even remember. It was fucking insane, bro.
Yeah.
What a performance. What an upset by Cyan. I think even if he went down 1-4, it showed an unbelievably strong upset. Coolest thing I've ever seen. Maru arrogant
to go 1-4
in
these groups. Yeah. I don't know. Maru might be going to the life school of playing in tournaments.
Yeah, actually, it was unbelievable. Actually, unbelievable play from Cyan. Really well done by him. Really can't argue for anything else.
Yeah. I will say China, for a region that had their servers unplugged last year, have been looking really good. And Oliveira obviously last year, which was kind of at the season that their servers got unplugged. Firefly showing up pretty well. Cyan showing up pretty well. They're with how the kind of regions changed and like how the qualifying all moved around and that sort of thing. They're still definitely showing that they deserve a spot at these events.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice and actually, I'm always really happy to see China do well. I know that the Chinese fans are really active and they're really passionate about the game. They also sponsor a lot of tournaments, so we're always happy to see them doing well.
Yeah, for sure.
Moving on with the rest of the group, we had Dark and Hero barely qualifying over Showtime and Raynor. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, Art.
Reina number
What the
5.
Raynor number 5? What the fuck happened? So, by the way, I can already give me the recommendation before we get into this. For this group, you want to watch Raynor versus Showtime. Absolutely banger match. One of the best match I've ever seen. If you like memes, you can watch Cyan versus Maru, which, as I said, was pretty unexpected. And I think Dark Raynor was also pretty good. Those are the three that struck me as pretty good matches. So, what happened there, Hart? Do you have an explanation?
We need to buff Zerg. It's the only logical explanation here. The only thing that makes sense.
True. So true. No, jokes aside, I think I know for a fact that Reno prepared really hard. It isn't the guy to get affected by nerves too much, so maybe just didn't play to his best. He didn't perform as well as he expected. I don't know, Reno. You know I love you, mate, but you didn't look yourself. Also, buff Zerg, please. Just so we're clear. Jokes aside, Dark and Hero showed a dominating performance. I was really cheering for Showtime. Showtime Hero also watched pretty good game for the qualification. I really liked it. I would have loved to see Showtime qualify over Hero because I love Showtime, but I don't like Hero. But at the end, the better player won, I guess. So this was more or less reasonable with the exception of Raynor. Let's move on to playoffs. I will go once again go top to bottom, left to right, as always. And do you want to start, actually?
Yeah, interesting one. So the format of the tournament is a little bit weird in that it's groups of 6 and then 3 carry on. So if you finish first, you get seeded straight into the quarterfinals, which is why Seroshin, Maru, and Hero Marine appear out of nowhere. And then the second and third from each group obviously then kind of play off. The first one in the round of 12 is Clem versus Solar, which is like losing one of those in the round of 12 is kind of rough. And those were close games and really, really close matches. Obviously, Clem coming out, victorious overall. But this is one of the ones, like one of the cases where, like the finals games are not as good as some of the games from the playoffs. Where it's like
Yeah.
if this was the finals, we could have watched this for 7 games and it would have been, way more exciting, way more intense.
This
And
was a
good
banger
players
of a
both.
game. Do not miss this. This was really, really good. Clem versus Solar, really cool match. I could have seen it going
Yeah,
either
for
way
sure.
up to the very end. Clem showed that he's still a fearsome player, but he did not look as strong as Atlanta here. He was a bit underwhelming compared to the incredibly high standard that we have put him.
Finals Atlanta Clem 3-0 Solar. I'm confidently saying that.
Yeah, pretty easily too. Yes.
Yeah.
Solar also a bit not on top of his game. We haven't really seen those insane Viper plays, those quick transition that clean macro, a bit ruffled, but still a very good series. Dark Skillus I wouldn't recommend watching as much as I love Skillus. Dark is an absolute beast in PvZ and just kind of wipe the floor with him.
Yeah, it's one where they don't he doesn't have like a build prepared. He just kind of shows up with a million units and Skillus just somehow doesn't have enough and just kind of dies. And it's like, I don't know what you do about that. Do you know what I mean? And it's not that great to watch. It's just kind of the tier of player is just slightly better between Dark and Skillus in this case.
Yeah, absolutely. No offense to Skillus here, but look, Dark is a fearsome opponent. I think he realized that it was always gonna be really, really hard. So it's it was a decent series, but nothing too special. Now, Gumio versus Biano on the other end was a surprisingly interesting series for activity. I do not recommend to watch this one just because I think there is a better activity in this tournament. You can guess which other one is, but still pretty close. Almost a reverse sweep by Gumio. Bian starting off really strong. Gumio coming out with some tricks, some cheap some cheap tactics, the things that he's known for. Very innovative as always, and manages to snatch 2 games, but the superior micro of the micro Terran still reached Bian. Once again prevails. And in the last one, the last hope of Protoss gets eliminated in round of 12. Forever whining about it. Cure versus Hero. Cure is supposedly one of the best PvP in the world. I wasn't too surprised. I'm actually surprised that Hero performed this well. I always tend to underrate him. But the games were not that good, or at least I didn't enjoy them that well.
Yeah, nice for Kyo though to go through. Not nice that he has to play so many TVTs after this.
He's a Terran patch.
True. Next quarterfinals was Serral, who seeded out of Group C first.
Yeah.
Anyway, straight into Clem with a quick 3-0. I think honestly, like as close as Solar Clem was, Serral Solar is probably still like not that close. Solar's ZVZ is really good, but ultimately, like, I don't know. You don't want to get seeded into playing against Serral ever, I think.
It's always like, who is the favorite to win the tournament? Serral. Always. Yeah. Always. Like, the man is incredibly dominating. I don't think, even if he nerf Zerg 10 more times, still think he's gonna win tournaments left and right. He's at another level. I hate the fact that every time he does well, we get nerfed, and he does always well, no matter what. The only thing that can bring him down is fucking Ragnarok, apparently, with shitty carapaces on lanes, but yeah, sure. 3-0 for Serral, very dominating
Serral
performance.
after Atlanta as well, with the finals against Clem, where Clem just like looked unbeatable in a lot of those games. I think that made Serral prepare a lot, and I think he saw a lot of Clem there, and I think that kind of helped him prepare for these matches a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, 3-0, not much to say about that one.
Yeah, Shin Dark, interesting series, but unfortunately Dark is a bit of a bully compared in Ragnarok. I think their all-time score is very Dark favored. Cool pills from Shin, a lot of carapaces on lanes, as we expect from ZVZ, Korean ZVZ. Link Bane shenanigans, very aggressive play. None of the game went too long, actually, I think. But interesting series, but not too interesting. You can skip this one. Now for the next series, this one you should absolutely watch. Maru versus Bian, absolutely insane series. Best TVT of the tournament, in my opinion. Maru starts off strong with a 2-0, looks pretty dominating. Bian comes back after us, like, I don't know, he went to his shrink or something. Talked to someone who gave him drugs or something. We don't know, actually. And now is super Bian, stronger than before, with twice as much IPM, completely dwarfs Maru in game 3 and 4, and goes for the reverse sweep. But unfortunately, the Tyrant is called the Tyrant for a reason. And in the end, Maru prevails without super close game 5. Watch this. These games are amazing. Even if you know as they go, they're super cool. We were cheering so hard, I remember, for Bian, even though it ultimately did not end up going that way. Still good.
Yeah, I agree.
Hero Marine Cure. This was a stomp. No offense to Big Gabe. He did really well in the group, but Cure, as I said, incredibly scary opponent in TVT. And this showed just TVT, Korean TVTs are just on another level. Moving on the semi-final, Maru 3-0. Maru, after almost losing to Bjarn, chose to actually try hard and really showed a dominating performance against Cure.
Yeah, this is when it's like, okay, maybe it's doable. Maybe we do get a good finals after all. Because all of the games before this, like 3-2 against Bjorn, and you know how groups went for Maru. Or I'm just watching, I'm just like, he's not quite switched on. He's not quite like completely with it. And then this series is like, yeah, dominating. And this is when I'm like, okay, maybe we get a finals after all. Maybe this is something worth watching.
Yeah,
I mean, I was wrong, but.
I mean, Maru looked pretty confident here, not gonna lie. But TVT has historically been a very strong matchup for Maru, so not too surprising. Now we get to the biggest meme series of the entire tournament, aside from Saya and Maru, of course. Serral Dark, this was a pretty dominating series by Serral. This is the only map that Serral lost in the entire tournament. Fucking ridiculous tournament. Well played by Dark, honestly. Cool all lanes, cool builds. Some of them did not quite work out. At least a couple worked. I think one of them just won him the game straight up, and the other Serral kinda came back clawing, as he kinda does very often. This shows once again that not even ZVZ can easily take down Serral. He's an absolute monster when he's prepared, unstoppable.
Yeah.
Cool
And Dark
series if you
CVZ
like.
is crazy good. It's really
Yeah,
good.
I think this was the best ZVZ match of the tournament. So if you want to watch a ZVZ, watch this one because this one was pretty cool. But still, it's Serral, so you know what to expect. But Dark is always makes it fun. Either this or Dark Shin, they were decently fun, both of them. Dark Shin was more of a meme fiesta, but it wasn't like actually good. Serral Dark was unironically good. Also, this spawned the super banger meme with Dark smiling sadly with the caption, "When you're the only player to take a map of Serral," and Dark replying under it. So, pretty cool memes. And then we go to the grand finals. What to say about this start?
Okay. All the rest of the podcast be saying, like, here's the series to watch. For the finals, you just need to watch Serral versus
Game 2.
Maru on Redu set, and then
Yeah. Game 2 and
that's
Game
it.
3, I think. No, Game 2 and Game 3.
Okay. The
I
Redu
think.
set game was awesome. Obviously, it's a massive map. And it was really interesting to see that both players like didn't play an early game, didn't play a mid game. They're like, okay, we're just rushing straight to late game, and they were just like, if you watch it, there's so many just like little things that they're both skipping. I think Serral just has like 10 lings for 8 minutes or something, and Maru's just like putting a Ghost Academy down at 5 minutes, but he's not playing like a NA ladder build. He's just actually playing for the late game. I mean, that is kind of like how the map is and how you have to play it, because it's basically 4 bases for free on that map.
Yeah.
And then there's times in that game I'm like so sure that Serral's won it, and then I don't know, a bad fight and Maru's multitasking kicks in or something, and I'm like, oh okay, I guess Maru just wins this now. And
Yeah.
it went back and forth so many times. This is the kind of game where Serral looks insane because there are so many things that only he does, and you just watch it, and it's
The
like
Nidus play was also really
Nidus's,
cool.
and he's like using Nidus's to save drones on like outside bases, and yeah, all of it. The main thing for this one, spoilers, is just burrowed infestors and Maru getting like more and more
Oh my god.
paranoid. He's like spamming towers everywhere, and there still always manages to be a burrowed infestor that's just
Yeah,
like
but
tucked in some corner. It was an
I,
absolutely
I feel
banger match,
I
and
feel
I did
like
think Maru could win.
Serral is gonna get Borrowed Infestors nerfed, just like they got Borrowed Roches nerfed single-handedly, I think. So yeah, absolutely insane games for Game 2 and Game 3, I think was also pretty good. The rest of the series was a stomp, the other two games. Serral looked incredibly dominating in this series. Well, it wasn't as close. It wasn't actually as dominating as I'm making out to be, because I said at least two
Yeah,
of the
some of the
games were
games went really
decently
long.
close.
Yeah.
But like, it looks out of
It's
this
worth
world.
saying, if a game goes long, it's always winnable for the Terran because their efficiency can be so
Yeah,
high, and you can get to the point where it's just like checkmate. Because if the Zerg is basically mined out of gas and like fully out of gas, like what you're gonna do, like spam lings and queens, and that will never win against a really healthy ghost count. And I did think we got kind of close to that kind of win con a couple times in those late games, but
yeah. This in the
so it's
Radushet
just
game, I
so good.
remember being pretty
Yeah,
scared for it. Uh, okay, I think this is all everything, right?
that's the end of the playoffs. Yeah, that's decent tournament. I didn't catch as much of it as I would have liked. Kind of um, less hype now that it's not the World Finals, I guess, and we're going for uh, yeah, kind of a different shiny new thing with kind of the structure of the tournament. I think it's going to be interesting that there are now team prizes at the World Finals. So there are like companies that are invested in different games that are now like picking up StarCraft players. The one that springs to mind is Dark is now signed to a team that has teams in everything apart from StarCraft, basically, who are clearly going for this kind of going for this kind of team trophy at the esports global finals. So that'll be interesting to see. From what I could see, obviously I was at Katowice last year, and it was packed then. It looked like it was still really popular and really busy in the stadium, like in person this year. So I think in person it's still like gonna stay as like a mainstay event, and people are still gonna be really keen to go and see live. Despite it kind of losing that prestige as the global finals. But yeah, I don't know. Pretty good event. Well done, Cyril. I would have liked my boy Dark to have gotten a little bit further, maybe. But semifinals is still pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I think this was a perfectly fair result for him. I think he showed off some good preparation, but ultimately it wasn't enough. I think he can be happy. I think he would have gone further if it. The problem is that he got eliminated by Serra, who eventually went on to win the entire thing, right? So if we got another bracket, if he got like maybe on the other guy, we could have gotten Dark Maru, always a very hype match. So there could have been some potential for other interesting games, but alas, that's not what happened. So we have to accept the truth of it.
Yeah. I don't have anything
Moving
prepped
on,
for
what do we have
this.
on the schedule?
This is the last thing to talk about, and it's literally tomorrow. I started packing already because I have to drive to IEM Kettering today.
Don't call it IM catering. What are we talking about?
If I keep saying it, people will
Okay.
it'll get signed eventually. We're talking about Epic Land, which is the biggest UK event, runs 3 times a year. The one before this was Epic Land 40, which was pretty massive. It had a really good turnout. I'll talk about that a bit. EBA came to that event, but unfortunately AC also went to that event. AC has gone to basically every event. All I'll say is, and it was really unfortunate, really unfortunate. That event, the top players, like the really highest contenders in that, were Eba, Figaro, and Risky. And Eba memed, he trolled, and he lost to AC. And unfortunately for him, Risky had just lost to Figaro, so it was Eba Risky in the lower bracket, which normally would be like a finals match, but in this case was a lower bracket knockout match. And ZVZ, like, it's the best mirror. I don't want to laugh. I'm not laughing, but he did lose to AC. I don't want to laugh, but I'm not laughing at Eba. It's just funny, and I do, and this is serious now. I'm gonna look into the camera. Stop trolling. If you stop trolling. So what happened is, I listen. Let's spill the tea. Let's pad the podcast around time. I want to say game 1. Eba 12 pool drone pools AC and loses, obviously. Game 2, AC 12 ball drone pools Eva and wins. And it's like, what did we do? What is this? Like, we're just never making a hatch first. These people are insane.
It was so dumb. It was so dumb. I loved it. So anyway, Epic Clan.
Can I say, I fucked up on that one. Because I said, do not stream Eba versus AC because it won't be close. Eba is going to stomp him. And there's been no point in watching it. And then I have to go back on stream and say, oh, just by the way, Eba actually lost and he's now out of the tournament. He was like a pretty good favourite. He went out to AC. Honestly, there's no shame in that. AC ended up coming second and even knocked Figaro down to the lower bracket where it was Figaro versus Risky for like the consolidation match, which is also crazy because that could also be a finals match.
AC shown unbelievably strong performance in DVZ in this tournament.
He was
No,
switched on.
but nobody cares about this. Let's talk about why people should watch it.
Okay.
So why should you watch Epic Clan?
That was last year. This year you need to watch it because this year Eba isn't gonna troll. You should watch it.
Shut the fuck up! I'm gonna make a publicity stunt. Do you wanna know why you need to watch Epic Land? Then I can give you many reasons. First off, because Art is casting it.
Okay, yeah, true. Yeah,
but more important is because who cares about StarCraft when it's the highest level and you see Serral play Turtle and win after 20 hours? And we want the shit players. We want the shitters. Sorry.
I want to see Zane make nothing but stalkers and then die to nothing but lings.
Only in Epic LAN can you see 20 minutes no 20 minutes no rush games in PvP. Only in Epic Clan can you see Iba absolutely troll and lose to someone who's 1,000 MMR below him. Only in Epic Clan can you see people losing matches because instead they're going to play football. Only in Epic Clan, everyone who's playing in the finals has a alcohol level of at least 0.5 at the very minimum. So Epic Clan is the best thing after Home Story Cup to meme around and watch amazing gameplay from people you might not normally see. Are you interested in one base Warmos? Because we got that too.
You'll see it. You're completely right. When we look at like a Katowice and we're looking at like the groups, oh, it's a good group for Cero, okay. Oh, and then Cero is gonna like lose one map in the entire thing. It's like, is there even any point watching? It's like, oh, okay, I guess Cero is just gonna win it, right? I'm looking at this. I there's so many good players that have won like lands in the past and could do it again. People like Risky, who's won a bunch, Raza, who's won a bunch, Iba, who's won one and should have won two if he'd stopped trolling, but there you go. Figure and Zane, Mix is a really fun player to watch. You know, there's some really like, you know, decently high level StarCraft and fun games more than anything. I should have clipped it. I might have to edit it in. I'll link it. I'll put a link below. There was a game last year. Mix playing random as he always does gets Zerg against Raza. The game is so lost. It looks awful for Mix. Raza's maxed out. Hold position lurkers, and Raza's whole army gets wiped for Mix to win it. It's these hype moments that are so good, and it's like you'd never see that in Katowice. Do you know what I mean? And here it's like.
Yeah, you see so many upset, so many cool plays. And what I will bring on, another thing that's cool, if you are from the UK and are close to Kettering, I think you can. Do you need a
I think you should still be able to get. Yeah, it's a spectator ticket, but it's not very expensive. Come down
going out with them is gonna be really fun. And if you're not from fucking Kettering, UK, then open the Twitch channel, enjoy the banter, enjoy the things. Go right. Iger is a slut bitch who likes too much alcohol in the chat from me. And also Flaming Figaro and Risky specifically, because the two fuckers poisoned me at Home Story Cup by giving me a fucking super spicy liquor that is only produced in the fucking mountains of Germany or something. I don't even know how they fucking found it. It was the shittiest experience of my life. I felt sick for 25 minutes after. I had to go to the bathroom because I felt like I was throwing up. It was absolutely terrible. So if you see Figaro and Risky in real life, I feel free to poison them with spicy shots or anything that you might consider worthy.
I will say, I'm really excited. There's some kind of up and comers this time. I think Jezu has a really big opportunity here. Just to go back to talking about StarCraft, to perform, and I think Iba. This might be the year of Iba. Let's see if he can do it.
Bro, it's never the year of Iba. Every time you say the Iba, it's the year of Iba. It trolls one more game.
But this year he might be off racing. He might be playing PVZ instead.
Yeah, he might be playing Protoss, which actually gives him higher chances of
win
winning.
rates. Yeah.
Higher win rates.
So that's it. I think now we need to have a think about what the next podcast is going to be about. Oh no, I know what it's going to be about. I do know. I remembered. We're talking about Zero Space, aren't we?
Yeah, Zero Sleep.
Zero Sleep. Maybe with special guest. We'll see.
We'll see. We'll try.
We'll see. But
we'll try our best.
Anything else from you, Larumbo? Shout out your Twitch channel. You're trying to stream every day now, no?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to stream every day. Shout out, come on twitch.tv/Lorimbo for Stormgate, daily Stormgate content and molding.
It was Age of Empires yesterday, no?
Yeah, I build both.
Okay.
Age of Empires, StarCraft, depending on what I'm feeling like. You can also request games, so it's fine.
Grey Goo?
No, not Grey Goo. Not Grey Goo. Not right now. Also, shout out to AC in particular. Your opinions about Age of Empires 2 are shit and you should feel ashamed about them. How can you say that Age of Empires 2 is a fun, exciting game? Absolute copper. I think that's it. Hello, everyone. Like and subscribe.
Okay. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye, Limber. Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.